I'd like to introduce our newest sponsor, Swim Angelfish. Swim Angelfish is an online certification program that strengthens your teaching curriculum to serve swimmers of all abilities. Swim Angelfish will prepare you and your instructors with the skills to teach swimmers with autism, physical disabilities, anxiety, sensory and motor conditions, and more. Learn to teach skills faster and with more comfort with Swim Angelfish. Apply for an Only Alpha Pool Product Scholarship and receive up to 50% off your certification. Go to swimangelfish.com today to apply. Looking to host your first swim meet or replacing an old timing system? Run a swim meet with ease from your laptop using Superior Swim Timing. You can use Superior Swim Timing with your existing equipment, or they can provide you with a complete timing solution, including deck harnesses, buttons, and starter. SST is fully compatible with Hy-Tek and Team Unify, as well as Colorado, Daktronics, and Amiga touchpads. Go to superiorswimtiming.com to learn more and be sure to tell them I sent you. Nate's come out with another awesome tool for the swimming community. It's called Swim Nerd Live, and it allows the data and times from your actual scoreboard to be broadcast and viewed in real time on any smart TV, phone, or other device. It has all the information you're looking for: event, heat, lane, name of swimmer, times, and places. One click on any device and they're watching your swim meet live in real time. Go to swimpractice.com to learn more. All right, Coleman Stewart, welcome to the podcast, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, like I said a second ago, man, it's overdue. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. And congratulations on all the fast swimming lately.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, where are you? You back home training right now?
Yep. Yep. Back home in Raleigh, training at NC State.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Now, listen, um, let's just talk about your last few weeks, previous few weeks. I mean, obviously, you just came out recently and broke the world record short course 100-meter backstroke. Fantastic effort. How did that all come about for you?
Um, not really sure, honestly. Like we after trials, we just started training kind of almost half-assed. Like that first couple weeks was just kind of like trying to get back into it, not
Mm.
really busting our butts. But then kind of like 3 weeks out, the coach who was coaching us, because Braden was on vacation, so we had one of our coaches, Carl Weigley, was coaching us, and he was like, "All right, we should probably start training kind of hard." So that's what we did, and yeah, I mean, our main goal was to just like head into ISL in better shape than most people because we figured like a lot of Olympians weren't going to be in their best shape. So if we can just go in good shape, we'd be able to make a lot of money. And yeah, I think I achieved that and went in pretty good shape. And then, yeah, the rest just kind of happened.
Yeah, man, the world of swimming is certainly changing and evolving for the better. I still don't know if swimmers have caught up to the changes yet. And you're a prime example of somebody that's figuring it out, which I think is outstanding. And I think it's kind of the trend that needs to happen. Obviously, you come off kind of a disappointment of not making the Olympic team. You came very close. I think you were what, eighth in the 100 free, so a
Mhm.
couple of spots off the relay, fourth in the 100 fly. You know, a couple of spots off making the individual. So super close, but then you come back, pretty quick turnaround and break a world record. Granted, it's short course meters, so it's a little bit different, but there seems to be a professional mentality of like, okay, I hit that, didn't get what I wanted there, but I'm still a professional athlete. There's still money to be made. I'm still swimming for one of the best teams on the planet in the Cali Condors. So, I mean, to me, it seems like you have figured out a professional mindset. Am I wrong in that?
No, I don't think you're wrong, and a lot of it kind of has come from Braden. Like, on NC State, we're all about team and everything. And I was a little bit worried about when I turned pro, like I wouldn't really have that aspect. I mean, obviously ISL, we have that team bonding and everything, but um, I mean, honestly, it's not something that I can compare to swimming at NC State. So I was a little bit worried, but Braden kind of has helped me shift my focus into like I'm still swimming for NC State because I'm still like I'm an alum and I'm still training there and everything. So everything I do does reflect on NC State, but
Mm.
ultimately it's just about like I this is about swimming for me now and swimming for my livelihood and making sure that I can keep a roof over me and my fiance's head. So it's kind of like yeah, like I think we've been able to kind of change our mindset from okay, let's just focus on swimming fast for the team to kind of like, you know, shift it towards that, this is you need to do this to keep living.
Yeah, and it's an important shift, and it happens to all professional athletes at some point, and swimmers especially. And I guess the tough thing for us is that we don't have professional satellite programs. Like you're still at NC State, guys are still at Cal, other guys are still at Texas. You know, uh, People are having to train in college environments, so we haven't progressed where we've figured out yet how we can sustain a professional environment for just professional athletes. So it's great that you have a coach like Braden who's willing to keep you in the program and ask you to be part of it, and then also shift your mentality and help you work with that. What are the other aspects of for you being a professional athlete? What have you figured out that you've got this college mentality, and then you've made this shift into the pros? Is there anything else you've had to kind of figure out along the way?
um Not really. I mean, it's been pretty much the same. Like the one good thing about college swimming and pro swimming is you just have to train as hard as you can pretty much all the time. The big difference is professional swimming, our big goal is obviously Olympics, which is only every 4 years. And we're training to swim pretty much 9 events over 9 days versus when you're training in the NCAA, you're training to swim like 11, 12 times over 3.5 days. So
Mm.
the training honestly is like just so much different. It's more intense, but just not as much volume. So that kind of mental aspect I've been able to tweak. Like I don't have to work. It's like a different type of working hard, but I think I've been able to change my mentality around that.
What about in terms of having a team around you and then having to wake up for yourself? In terms of a mentality shift, what kind of adjustments have you needed to make? When the alarm goes off now, it's like you kind of got a choice in a way. I'm sure Braden's still holding you accountable to being there for sure,
Oh
but
yeah.
there's not that looming team hanging over your head like I've got to go because everybody's depending on me now. So there's certainly a shift in the mentality of you know even going to the gym and the type of effort you give in the gym or the type of effort you give in the pool, things like that, right?
Yeah, and honestly, it's kind of a little bit easier because in college, you're on a team, you're a spot on a roster, and if you don't show up, you could get kicked off the team, you could be suspended, you're letting the team down. Like there's a lot of pressure on the team where like now if I don't show up, it's not hurting anybody but me. So it
Mhm.
kind of just that self-reliance of if I don't do this, it's literally just hurting me, which, there is that like it's good and bad. But ultimately I think I'm in a spot right now where I know I still have a lot to give to the sport. So it's not like I'm really trying to grind through these workouts just to try to, finish my career. So right now
Right.
it hasn't been that hard to kind of change that aspect.
Right. It seems like there's a lot of money up for grabs these days for swimmers. You've got your ISL money, you got your FINA money for sure in different ways that you can get that. I'm sure, I'm okay with you mentioning if you have sponsors, that's fantastic as well. But in terms of mapping out money, have you looked at the season, and are you looking at places where you can be like, well, I can make 10 grand there, I could make 20 grand there? Are you starting to look at it like that, where you're mapping out a plan to make a living from swimming?
Um, I did a little bit. My plan was, if I don't go to short course worlds, I was going to try to go to the last two World Cup stops. But I haven't heard anything from USA Swimming, so it's kind of like it's a little bit hard to try to plan out certain aspects when you're not even sure what meets you're going to go to. Because obviously, short course worlds would be a meet, like that would be the big meet this summer, or this winter. Sorry. And I would put a lot of focus on that. But if I wasn't going to go to that, then I would try to make money at the World Cup stops. But ultimately, it just didn't work out. You know, that's just kind of the way it goes
Well,
sometimes, I
let's
think.
talk about that because it's a bit of a joke right now, as far as I'm concerned. You're the world record holder in the 100 back, and you can't go to the world championships to swim. So without being controversial in a way, it's just us having a conversation in terms of the position you're in, right? Um, there has been kind of this selection policy, it seems, for the way that USA Swimming selects their team for the World Short Course for a number of years now, and it doesn't seem like that has shifted with the times. Here you are, a professional athlete who stands to make a ton of money at a meet like the World Short Course, and you don't even qualify based on the qualification criteria. So, what is it, and where do you stand right now?
Um, I mean, I tried to read the document and it never really specifies whether or not they use short course or long course. I by now I'm pretty sure they're using long course times, which is frustrating. Um, because like a few years ago when there wasn't the ISL, you can use long course meter times. That makes sense. But now that there are so many people doing short course meters,
Hmm.
and I mean, even short course yards could be, you can't exclusively use that, but you can bring that into, your selection process at least a little bit. I just think the way that they're selecting is kind of it's outdated, like you said, and I don't know where I stand. I have heard nothing from USA Swimming. Granted, I also haven't reached out to ask where I am, but yeah, I haven't. Even if, and I think through the selection process, even if I were to go, I wouldn't go for the 100 back. It would be for fly and potentially relays. But yeah, even then, haven't heard anything. So yeah, who knows?
Wow, it's stunning to me. First of all, that you haven't heard anything as the world record holder. I mean, it just happened. It's not like you did it 2 years ago, and you think, well, I broke that. Like you literally just broke the world record. How long ago was it now? About 4 weeks ago, maybe, or a little longer?
I think it was like a little bit longer. Yeah, it was the
Maybe
end of
6 weeks.
August.
Right. Okay. A couple of months ago, let's say you just broke the world record, and you haven't heard anything from USA Swimming. I mean, that to me, that's shocking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating because, like I said earlier, like I would have loved to have gone. That would have been the main focus for me. There's like no bigger honor than representing your country. Thankfully, I have had the opportunity to do it once before, and I would love to do it again. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating to not really be high up there, even though like you said, I'm a world record holder in short course meters. I'm top 10 in the 50 back. I'm top 10 in the 100 fly, and I only swum that individually once, all time. And yeah, it's just I think it's outdated the way that they selected, and hopefully it changes, and maybe they'll reach out, and so if anyone's if anyone's at USA Swimming's listening, I'd love to go, but
Well, I think there's that, and I think look, honestly, from I'll give you some advice. I think you have every right to reach out and say, "Listen, I'm the world record holder now. Like, where do I stand? How can we change the policy in the future to get people like me?" Because you're right. Like, there are so many more chances for people to post times now. And somebody, I got into an argument the other day with somebody on Twitter, and they said, "Well, instead of complaining about what do you suggest?" No, one of my suggestions was just 2 months out from the meet, take the top times in the world. If you want to take the best team and the fastest team, we've got guys like Tom Shields, Beta Nielsen. She's on your team as well,
Mhm.
and then yourself as examples, right? People that are posting the fastest times in the world, and just take it based on that criteria. A couple of months out, say, all right, who's posted times within the last 12 months? These are the fastest people. We're going to take them, but basing it off, and that's just a suggestion. There's other ways to do it, but the
Mhm.
reason why I'm bringing it up is because you stand to lose so much money if you break the world record at the championship. That's $50,000 right off the bat, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I actually haven't even looked at it, but
I've looked at it
yeah.
for you. It's 50 grand if you break the world record at the meet, man. That's an income right there. That's a year's income. Right? I mean, a
Yeah.
good solid year's income. I mean, come on, like you're fresh out of college. You're trying to be a professional athlete. You're starting a young family as well. You want to be in this sport for many years to come. 50 grand can change your life, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's I keep saying it's frustrating, but I mean, really, that's all there is to it. And like you mentioned, Tom and Beta. I mean, I've been following Tom in the World Cup stops, and he's been swimming lights out. Beta was killing it in ISL, and USA Swimming didn't even release the selection criteria until right before the fourth meet um, of the ISL season, or our fourth meet, sorry. And it just kind of seems like I know USA Swimming doesn't exactly put a large focus on short course worlds, which I don't exactly understand because we swim short course yards, so like it translates pretty well. But it's just I don't understand why they don't want to send their best team. It's like they're just going with what they've always done, and because that's worked out for them in the past. But I think a lot of other countries are starting to focus on other things that USA Swimming could take notes from. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. And maybe there was some really good reasons why they had that selection policy in place. And maybe it made sense in the past. It just doesn't make sense anymore based on the fact that, you've got some of the best swimmers, world record holders sitting on the bench who don't qualify based on their criteria, who stand to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's where the argument comes in, is that you guys are now, it feels like they're taking income away from you. They're withholding income from you, your potential income, based on the fact that you could go out there, break a world record at the meet, get that money, get the money for winning the race, do some other races, potentially come away with close to 100 grand based off that one meet for a few days of racing. I mean, that's life changing for a swimmer, honestly. So I think that's where the argument comes in. I think it needs to have a serious look at it. I'm going to keep complaining about it for you, man. I know that I know that the swimmers don't want to go out there and publicly, complain for themselves, and I kind of get that. But I think if people like me or other people like me make enough noise, we can kind of force some change onto this thing. I just think it's too valuable for people like you. So that's where I stand on that thing. In terms of your well, short course swimming too is it feels like there are specialists these days in it, and yeah, you're obviously really really good at underwater dolphin kicking, and it's something that has really improved for you over time. I was looking at your stats here, just in doing some research in this, and you were your first Olympic trials in 2016 when you were a freshman going into college. You were 135th in the 100 back, and I think you were 78th in the 200 back. And then this year at the trials, you were um, two finals, 100 fly and 100 free and 100 back. I think you were 10th. So you've made some drastic improvements in that area. But in terms of your underwater dolphin kicking, for you, it's something that you've really put a lot of time and energy into improving, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, Lots of time and lots of energy. Yeah, and it really it stems from Braden kind of like realizing when he was recruiting me, like, okay, this guy can kick really fast for one lap. How do we change that to kicking really fast for 4 laps and 100, 8 laps and a 200? And yeah, there were lots of blood, sweat, and definitely tears going into all the underwaters, but ultimately, it has put me in a position to where I can succeed on the national stage and international stage. And sometimes I was pretty upset with the type of workouts that Braden would write, but I trust him and he trusts me, and it's gotten us to a point where we're at the top level of underwater kicking, and now we're trying to translate that into swimming now.
What does that mean exactly? Let's dig into it a little bit if you don't mind. So obviously you've got some talent, you've got some rhythm, you've got some flow, and you've got a little speed. You can maintain it for 10, 12 yards off a start or off a breakout type thing. So you're talking about maintaining it lap after lap after lap. What are the things that you have to embrace, and what's the torture that Braden's drilling into you to help you improve and maintain that over time?
The torture actually isn't as bad anymore, thankfully. But every Thursday afternoon, we would have underwater groups. It was a group of 6 of us that would come in and just work on underwaters for 2 hours. And it wasn't just like, okay, how many 25s underwater on 30 seconds can you do all out? It was more focused on, like, we would put a cord in the middle of the pool and we would do like 200s, like free fly, um, just trying to like have good, powerful kicks for the whole 200, not just like focusing on, okay, all out kicks for one, like
Mm,
just kick as fast as you can, try to kick under the whole time. It was focused on trying to keep the eighth lap like underwater kicks just as fast as the first lap. So like if you watch most of my races, I don't really beat anybody on the first 15. It's like the second, third, fourth wall. That's where my kicks really start to kind of elevate to that next level. And even the back half of those of each wall. And it's because of all that, like, it's not just that we focus on this on the initial speed and power. It's maintaining that speed and power throughout the whole
mm.
race, the whole 15 or whatever.
That's interesting. So you'd set the cord, like a stretch cord, across the pool at like the 12.5 meter mark. Is that what you're saying? And
Yep.
then on your front, you would kick this way, and then on your back, you'd kick this way. And then once you hit a kick count, or once you see the cord, you'd start to break out, and then get into your swim, and then hit another turn under the cord, and then break out, kind of thing. So how many kicks are you taking to get kind of that 12 and a half? Let's say you're doing a set of 200s like that.
200s, it would usually be about 6 to 7 kicks.
Right. Right. So you're doing that kind of like you're doing a set of repeat 200s where you're on your front, on your back, and just maintaining that speed and power and length, and kind of just working it, flowing it, just constantly repeat, 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 right?
Yeah, so yeah, pretty much we would do like rounds of, yeah, like a 200, and then at the end we would put on socks, and then we would kind of do some all out stuff. But
Mhm.
it and we never focused on, like, however, we never really did short rest underwater work, because A, that's dangerous, and B, it kind of like your lungs will just kind of grow naturally, almost like people. A lot of people ask me like, oh, like, how do you not like run out of air on the last like 15, on the last wall of 100 back? And the air is never the problem for me, just because I've worked so hard for so long, and it's not like I just do a lot of short rest underwater work. Like, it's just naturally something that is built up. It's something that comes along with it. Yeah, off the last wall, the first thing that goes is my legs, like my quads
Mm,
and my kick
mm.
rate, not my lungs. So, um, yeah, Tom actually had a really good story about the shallow water blackout, and how, how he trains specifically for it. And, I think it's very important to kind of get that message out of doing like 75s and hundreds no air. That's not how you do it. Like, that's not how the top swimmers get that lung capacity. That's just dangerous, and quite frankly, like lazy coaching.
Mm,
And yeah, dangerous. So kind of
mm.
building it up the smart way is how to do it.
Yeah, it's very similar to what Tom said. Actually, doing kind of short bursts of like 7 seconds. By the time you get under that cord, we're talking 5 6 seconds. So you're really only holding your breath for a short amount of time. But then because your heart rate is pumping because you're doing 200s repeat, it's like hold your breath 5 seconds, up and go. Hold your breath 5 seconds, up and go. You're not holding it for extensive periods of like 25, get 5 seconds rest, 25, get 5 seconds rest, 20, so that's where that oxygen debt comes in, and people make really big mistakes by just holding their breath too long.
Hmm. Exactly.
Right. That's interesting. Right. I appreciate you sharing that because it's such an important topic as well. And people are always trying to figure out how to improve their underwater kicks. And I think if you put what Tom said and now what you've said together, they match up perfectly. And these are two of the best underwater dolphin kickers in the world. So, what about this then? How do you then go from where you're at? Like you said, you're not necessarily beating anyone to the 15, but uh, you do want to get better. Like Caleb Dressel, for instance, is doing something that no other freestyler, at least in the world, and even seems to be in the 100 butterfly. Like it seems like he's doing something well. So how do you make improvements? Is my question, my long-winded question. How where you're at right now? How do you get better than where you're at?
um well, obviously, I just, yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is to just put on weight, upper body wise. Like, I don't really want to put that much weight on my legs, just because I have that endurance, where I can keep my kicks going. And I think if I put on like a lot of muscle on my legs, it might, end up like, yeah, it could help me that first 15, but then it could, hurt me a little bit on the last 15. So I think I just want to put more weight on, because, when I do a start against Justin, like a flat start, Justin Ress, he has about 40, 45 pounds on me,
Mm,
and our reaction times are almost the same. And he's a little bit more explosive, but he's carrying so much more weight into the water, where that's where he can beat me to 15. Because I mean, my kicks are better than his, but he can just beat me because he has more momentum and more weight going into the water, if
right.
that makes sense.
Right, right. Yeah, that does make sense. Interesting. So you're trying to get stronger in the gym, particularly.
Yeah, yeah. Could you? I gotta let my dog out. He is whining, and he is
It's
the
all good,
worst.
man.
Sorry.
Yeah, let the dog out. Love it. Give me a time for a little coffee break here.
Yeah, sorry. I don't.
It's all good, man.
I don't know if you could hear him, but I could hear him nonstop.
I love those little breaks. It's good. The viewers, sometimes I leave them in, sometimes I cut them out, but that was a fun one, so I might just leave that one in. um, Tell me this then. So, is 47 in the plan for this season? 100 back?
Uh, and I've had a couple people ask me that. I mean, obviously, yeah, like that's what I want to go, but 48 was never in the plan for this season. Like like I said, like we went into the regular season just being like, let's just go, let's just be in good shape. So best times, world record was never ever in the cards. Um, so yeah, I mean, just kind of want to go back into racing and just having fun while racing, because that's when I swim my fastest. So a lot of, you know a lot of credit goes to the Cali teammates for keeping me loose, keeping me laughing behind the blocks and warm ups and everything, because that's when I swim my fastest. So yeah, just stay loose and just try to like move forward and see what happens next.
That's awesome, man. Speaking of the Cali team, I mean, it's seems to be the number one team, the uh, defending champions, but also the team to beat this year. What's it like being part of that team?
Uh, it's really cool. We all get along super well. Um, even with the last year, last year we were, mainly American, but we had the draft, and it just didn't hurt any of our team camaraderie. And I think that kind of just goes to show like how the coaching or the staff that Jason has put together, and the team that Jason has put together is really focused on not just like fast swimming, but also, what are you willing to do for the team? Um,
Mm.
when Caleb had to step out because he was sick, lost another one of our sprinters that day, and um, we lost a breaststroke or two. Like, we were down a lot of people, but all of us were just like, all right, we had people volunteering to swim races that they had no business racing, but that just kind of shows the kind of team that we are. We're willing to like put others on our back and move forward, just for the sake of the team, because we all just want to win in the end.
Right. I mean, there's ways to get people to watch swimming. One of them is to swim fast and have fun and be part of a great team and be part of a great competition. But there's also kind of a little bit of what happened last year with you and Ryan Murphy, and I've talked to Ryan about this as
Mhm.
well. For it's fun for us because it kind of pulls us into something, like and so I'm not asking you to kind of comment on that necessarily, but like how do you feel a responsibility to pull more eyes into swimming? How do we do it? Like I want you guys to be famous. I want you guys to be making tons of money. I want swimming to be on TV. So whenever I am um critical of it, it's in a way that I want it to last. I want it to thrive. And
Mhm.
so do you feel a responsibility to be part of that as well, or is it just for you about the fast swimming?
Yeah, I think we all do feel that responsibility. And I think the league kind of wants us. The league has told us, a bunch of times, like, yeah, please, like, promote it on social media. The more you guys focus on it or like promote it, is just more eyes on the sport. So
Right.
yeah, I think we absolutely do feel that responsibility. And yeah, I mean, yeah, that beef thing, it is what it is. Ryan and I have gotten, we've talked about it a lot. We're friends now. No hard feelings. you know I could have handled it a lot better, that's for sure. But ultimately, it brought eyes to the sport. And
Hmm.
I thought about just texting him and just being like, hey, we should just like do this every year, get more eyes on the sport. So, but ended up not asking him that. But who knows, maybe in the future, I'll just start trash talking someone like Justin or Ryan Held, one of my old teammates. See, get some hype around that. We'll see.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a little hype, but the little gentleman's agreement, I think, is a good thing too. Don't let anyone know about it, but there does need to be some friendly rivalry amongst the teams as well. I think, and I think it's getting there a little bit. I mean, you can see a little bit of tension between your team and Energy Standard and maybe the LA Current. There's definitely enough personalities amongst each team that people want to win and people want their team to be the best. So it does seem to be coming out, and maybe we'll get more of that in the semifinals. When are you headed to that event, the semifinal?
Yeah, we leave November 7th, so just about 3 weeks.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, listen, man, I highly recommend that you guys be as competitive as you can, and show that side of you. I like seeing that side of people, the competitive side. Like I know for a fact Chad Leclos is one of the most competitive people on this earth. He doesn't like to lose. So seeing that from time to time is okay. And I think your competitors will respect that even more too. I mean, again, it's just me personally, but when we pretend that we're all friends all the time and everybody's happy, it's like that's cool, but it's like I want to see the competitive side of Coleman Stewart too, and I love that aspect of you. When you brought it out for me, I was like, yes, that's true. Like you are a super competitor, and I love it. I don't know. There wasn't really a question. There was just a comment. You know, it was just me admiring your competitiveness. I like it.
Yeah, no, I would tend to agree that, I think we could definitely bring out more competitiveness. But, at the end of the day, like we do have to keep racing against each other and we don't want to have hard feelings. But, I think when it comes around naturally is when it really, that's when it's at its best. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
True. True. Keep working on that for the semifinals, and it's going to be exciting.
Mhm.
Do you know if are you guys going to be at full strength for the semifinal in terms of your team?
Yeah, from what I've heard, yeah, I think everybody is all in for it. Yeah.
Awesome. What about you in terms of who do you think it's going to come down to in the end? What teams look the strongest to compete against your team?
Oh, well, I think obviously Energy Standard is going to be up there. London beat us regular season, so we want to hash it out with them again. Then yeah, fourth place team. I think it's going to be pretty close between Toronto and LA. I think Toronto did a really good job in the draft to kind of build up their team. But then LA has all their superstars, so it just kind of depends on who's on. Throughout the semifinal matches. And yeah, but yeah, I think the top three teams are definitely going to be us, us, Energy, and London.
Right. Yeah, that'll be good to come down. And what's the total prize money for the team? Do you know?
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember what it is this year.
So, something like maybe $250,000 for the team or something like that. I don't know. It seems to be a lot. So that's good. I want to go back to a couple of things actually. I'm interested in this 100 free from the Olympic trials. That to me kind of came out of nowhere in a way. I don't know about for you, but to swim 48.5 is legit. I mean, that's a real freestyle time. It's getting down there to the point where you could contend for the US for years to come. If you just drop another half a second or so, you'll be on every relay that is put up. So is that something that is in your future plans?
Yeah, that race was really funny just because you know uh, when me and Braden were planning out our trials races, it was always like, all right, Leo, we're gonna swim 100 back, probably gonna make it to finals. Then 100 free just to keep us racing. Um, and then really focus on the 100 fly. 100 fly was the main focus for that meet.
Mm.
And then when I didn't make finals in the 100 back, I was like, all right, get a day off. And I went up to Braden after like the semifinal of the 100 back. He was like, all right, you got like 3 days off and then 100 fly. I was like, Braden, I'm doing the 100 free, right? He's like, oh, I forgot. So he like, and I had not done any 100 freestyle training. Like the only freestyle training I did was just, we had one like threshold aerobic freestyle workout a week. But yeah, I mean, I kind of figured I could go out, I wanted to just be like a 48 high, drop a little bit of time because my best time was like a 49.1, I think, from a few years ago.
Mm.
But but yeah, no, 48. I think I went 48.4 in the morning, and I was shocked, man. I went up to Braden and he looked at me. We actually thought I got DQ'd because my breakout was really close off the start, and he didn't want to jinx anything, but he was like, "Dude, where the hell did that just come from? Like, what?" So yeah, that was something that was kind of surprising, but since then, yeah, we've kind of shifted our training to focus more on that 100 freestyle.
I was going to say that. I just asked you the question: is 47 in the cards for your 100 backstroke short course meters? But I got to say, 47's got to be in the cards for your 100 free long course now, right? You're
That's
right
the
there, man.
plan, yeah.
That's where the money's at. And that's a relay you'd love to be part of too,
Mhm.
especially in Paris. I mean, that's a killer relay. To be part of that one. But you've had some experience. I was looking back at some of your NCAA experience. You're on the 400 free relay that broke the NCAA record. I think it was the Auburn NCAA record. I don't know, maybe Cal got it, but It was fast. Anyway, you guys went 2:44. That's blazing fast, man. You guys must have had some killer team back then.
Yeah, that was, yeah, 2018. It was, we broke the American record at ACCs, and that race, not the one at NCAA's, one at ACCs, was my favorite race in college. Yeah, because I was the only one who was shaved on that relay. It was me, Justin, Jacob, and Ryan Held,
Mhm.
and I was anchoring. I was like a scrawny little sophomore backstroker who was just swimming hot. So Braden was like, "All right, let's throw him on the end of this relay, see what he can do." And then, yeah, we broke the American record, and we're really close to the U.S. Open and the NCAA record with three unrested, unshaved guys. So I get chills talking about it still, just because like I was just so mind blown to be on that relay. Like that was my first big time swim. Um, and then, yeah, at NCAA is when we went even faster. We broke the record actually in the morning with one of my roommates who filled in for me because I had to do the 200 back that morning. They broke that in the morning, and then we were like, all right, like we got to go even faster at night, and then we did. So, yeah, that whole experience was just really, really cool. Kind of my first, yeah, like I said, first big time swims. Yeah, was just really fortunate that I was swimming hot and Braden decided to put me on it.
Awesome, man. I'm going to ask you a kind of a deep question here. So as I'm asking this question, I want you to really think, okay?
Okay.
Every coach wants an athlete like you. I mean, just as I'm listening to your talk, I'm just thinking about your progressions, and I had done a little bit of research. So I was looking at, what you came in on at NC State and where you are now. I mean, from where you were 5 years ago to now, you're a world record holder. I mean, it's kind of every coach's dream. It's every athlete's dream. So there's certainly talent there. You have talent. So let's put that aside because I think a lot of swimmers have talent. But what is it about you? If you were to um, talk to a young freshman right now at NC State and say, look, these are the things that I did to get me from point A to point B, to be one of the best swimmers in the world. I started off here and now I'm here. What are the things you give yourself credit for doing really well, for learning through experiences and helping your progressions? Talk to me about you for a second.
So I would say there's two big things um, that I've kind of done well. And the second one, I had to learn a lot. But the first one was just trust. Trust the coaches, trust the people around you. Like a collegiate coaching staff, really any coach, club, high school, whatever, they they're not doing anything to hurt you. They're giving you these hard sets because they want to see you, swim better. Like they want to see you swim faster. They want to see you grow as a person. And that's something that I did with Braden from day one is just immediate like we just trusted each other. And it's scary to go into a totally new program. I did not train high intensity very much when I was in club on either of my club teams. And a lot of the freshmen that come through kind of have difficulty with focus or with like understanding like all out means all out,
Mm,
not really hard. It means all out. And the way the workouts are written, you can't go just hard and expect to do instead of all out and expect to go best times at the end of the year. Because with high intensity training, you just can't do that. Um, so just like trusting your coaching. And yeah, Braden and I have talked about it a lot that's where from day one, I was a little bit different from a lot of people. Um, and it's not just like me trusting with like Braden, it's me trusting the athletic trainers whenever I got injured, knowing that they're gonna, if they tell me not to swim, like Braden and I are like, all right, we can't swim tonight. You're just gonna hurt yourself more. You know, the weight staff has been a huge part of my progression. So trusting them trusting Braden, like understanding that everybody is working together. It's not like anybody is working to hurt you. So that's, the long answer for the first part.
Mhm.
And then the second one is just have fun. um, like I said, I am someone who I am a very relaxed person. I don't really get uptight about most things. And I went through my junior year. Um, I won the 100 back at NCAA's my sophomore year, and then that next year, I was just so focused on like, okay, I need to win. It was just so focused on the end of the year, and not at all focused on like, okay, what am I going to do in practice to have fun, to try to make this sport something that I want to do in the future. It was just like, okay, I need to do this because everyone expects me to. Not because I want to do it to have fun. And I was not a very good teammate that year. And I was in my head all the time. Like, I, Braden probably did not like me coaching me that year. Thankfully, he stuck with me. But yeah, I mean, just having fun and understanding that, at the end of the day, you're doing this sport because, you have a teammate, you have a whole team behind you, and they're going to have your back no matter what. And yeah, my senior year, once after junior year NCAA's, I had to really reevaluate a lot of things. And then senior year, this sounds super corny, but I like went into every workout with pretty much just, I need to smile at some point today, even if I'm having the worst workout of my life, which I did. I think there was one time where Catherine Burkhoff was beating me in 50s all out backstroke short course. Um, and I was still laughing at that workout, just because, I mean, Braden was making fun of me, Catherine was making fun of me. Like, it was just, even though I was swimming so slow, it was just fun because I was swimming so slow. I mean,
I
at
was
the end
going
of
to
the day,
ask you that
yeah,
actually, like, how do you have fun during the suck? And that's what you said. Just remember to smile, even when things are tough. Just putting a smile on your face can change the way you feel. Like the neurological patterns in your brain are just changed by smiling, right?
yeah, exactly, exactly.
I like that. It's really good advice, though. Embracing completely. And as you were talking, you reminded me of an athlete that I had the fortune of kind of watching grow and continue to watch grow in another program, Zach Apple. He's very similar to you in terms of where he came in and his approach, his yeah, he just said yes to everybody. You know, it doesn't mean you don't question things like, oh, why are we doing this today? Okay, that makes sense. Great, bam, and giving it 100% based
Mhm.
on the fact that you trust that the coaches have your best interests. And yeah, it's rare. I mean, it seems simple, but it's actually rare. Not many kids come into college and fully trust the whole program from the head coach down, like you said. Um, so I think it's really important advice. It's great advice. I appreciate you sharing that with us. In terms of NC State, there was a period of time, I've asked Braden this too, but there was a period of time where it seemed like it was inevitable that they were going to win a national championship. I mean, the run that they were making towards that was like, oh, that no one's going to be able to stop them. And it did seem to kind of hit a brick wall. I think what's the highest they've placed? Is it third
Fourth.
or fourth?
We
Okay.
were fourth for, was it 4 or 5 years in a row? I think it was 4.
So what is it from your point of view then? Like how it seems easy to win a national championship until you get to that point, and then you're like, oh, this is harder than it seems. So where is the sticking point, you think?
I think I think a lot of high schoolers put too much thought into the name brand. Um, like, Cal in Texas, Florida, Michigan, they have those big time names. Everyone around the country knows them. And NC State, we kind of have that blue collar aspect where, we don't have the fanciest facilities. At least in the like our pool is not super fancy, but at the end of the day, water is water. We have a lot more lane space than a lot of other teams. We have 2 pools that are exclusively ours during training. So, and I think a lot of high school recruits kind of look at, you know, Texas's pool and they're just like, wow, this is a really nice pool. Um, and they kind of get distracted by that. Um, so I think that is probably the biggest thing, even though, like I said, water is water. And, we train in not a flashy facility, which just makes those big time meets feel even better. Like when we go to Greensboro for ACCs or Atlanta, wherever it is, like those pools are, you know, visually a lot nicer than ours. So it's kind of like, okay, now it's game time. Now we like it kind of like helps you switch your mindset into that. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is probably just they think our facilities are not as nice.
So you think it's just a numbers game? You think NC State got to a point where it's like they just ran out of numbers? Like Cal had the recruits on them, and Texas had the recruits on them, and you guys just ran out of talent. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't say we ran out of talent. I mean, this year's freshman class is really fast. And I think I tweeted it out at one point that, I think within the next 4 or 5 years, NC State is going to win a national championship, a team national championship.
Oh,
Uh,
really? You think so?
oh yeah. Yeah, I'll stand by that. I think with the way that Braden improves, like we had really good recruits last year too and the year before, but I think the biggest thing is the way that Braden trains, and the rest of the staff. Um, I've seen it more firsthand with Braden because I've trained with him for 5 years now. But um, they always get better their freshman year, but then sophomore year is when they pop.
Hmm.
Like, pretty sure Ryan Held did it, Justin Rest did it, I did it. Like,
Hmm.
it was that first year is like, yes, there's improvement, but then that second year is when it starts to go up really high. So, and that's kind of where that trust in the process comes from. These other schools, they'll get you faster freshman year, but then a lot of the time after that, like we just stay flat.
Hmm.
Um, at least from what I've seen. But
Right.
yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate the answer. What about back to this then? We're what, 2.5 years away from selection for Paris now. I mean, you've made massive leaps in your long course swimming, and you're kind of right there. What do you have to do to get yourself onto that team, you think?
I think I mentioned earlier, I just need to get better at swimming, which is funny. But yeah, I just need to get better at pulling more water. I think one of the big things that Braden and I are going to focus on is being able to finish a race. Um, in the 100 fly and 100 free, like I was pretty close. Like I was pretty high up there at the 75, but then that's kind of where that short course expertise kind of like hurt a little bit. Where
Hmm.
I don't have that last wall to go to kind of bail me out. But yeah, I think our biggest thing is focusing on the last quarter of the race.
Does that mean more long course swimming? How much long course swimming do you get in before a trials like the Olympic trials?
Uh, the pro team gets in a decent amount. Like we swim probably 3 times a week, long course in the morning, um, like pretty much through NCAA's, and then after that, we're pretty much long course every single day.
Hmm. Right. So it's not just a matter of more long course then, but it's
Mhm.
just a matter of well, I'll give you my advice from me, because I was a decent short course yard swimmer in college as well, and it took me a couple of tries to figure out the whole long course thing, and then once I figured it out, I made every Australian team for the next 6 years, and this was my secret. I'll give it to you. Is I shifted, and it's going to be difficult for you because you're making good money short course right now. But my shift was, the only thing that matters to me is long course swimming. Like I don't care about short course swimming, and that's going to be difficult for you because you're going to make bank off short course. So, but in order for me to shift my mentality, and even just the way I finished races, because I had trouble finishing races too, and I shifted my mentality. I said, I'm a long course swimmer. And I was very comfortable being a short course swimmer. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed those walls popping off the walls. But I had to make that shift mentally, and it took me about 9 months of really solid long course training and racing to fully embrace it. Then to be accepting of I'm a long course swimmer.
Hmm.
And I got to tell you, once I made that shift and I came to terms with it and I was comfortable with it, I felt indestructible long course. I didn't feel like anybody in Australia could beat me. I had some international competition, but that was kind of my mental shift. And I think something like that is going to have to happen for you to make this Paris team, because I do think it's kind of like what you said when you come into college. You've got to embrace it fully.
Hmm.
um, that mentality long course is kind of the same shift that you're going to have to make as well, unfortunately. I'm sorry. But you're
uh,
there. I mean, you're half a second away from making these teams.
mhm.
I would imagine. I mean, you swim 47 anything, you're going to be on the relay team. I would think. I mean, don't you?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, that's the way I see it as well. But well, listen, man, I've enjoyed this, getting to know you and just chatting with you. I appreciate your time. Um, got some really exciting swimming coming up, some racing coming up.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it's short course meters, but you got some money to make, man. Go make that
Yep.
cash. But I hope USA Swimming does listen to this, and I hope they take into consideration for your chances, even this season. I hope they do bring you on. But oh, what is this? Something popped up there. Sorry, I had to turn that off the screen.
Oh, you're good. No problem.
But thanks again, man. Anything you want to leave us with?
None that I can think of.
We'll
Just
keep.
thanks for having me on, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was really nice getting to know you, and hopefully someday I'll see you on deck and say hi in person.
Yeah, I'd love to be around and watch you race in person. But good luck with everything, man. Okay, I'll be cheering for you from the TV screen. Okay.
Thank you. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Take care, Colin.